Hello and welcome back to another episode of Three Key Men. Today's team, Chelsea. Now this team, there are too many players to pick from in so many different positions. The most important player, who's the most promising, who to recommend as a signing because they kind of just signed everyone. So what do you really choose? So this video wasn't easy to make, but to start off, I had to do it. I was like, should I go for an older player? Should I go for maybe one of the new guys? Let's just keep it simple. The truth of the matter is, Reece James is Chelsea's most important player. To me, he's clearly the best right back in the world in terms of consistency, in terms of overall ability going forward, defensively. He's just a complete package as a defender. And for Chelsea to have him tied down to a long-term position, for him to be a Chelsea kid, it matters to them. And I think he's a future Chelsea leader and captain. And I think he's going to be a stalwart of the defense going forward for many years. He's so adaptable. He can play in a back four. He can play in a back three. He can play in every kind of system and maybe even transition him into different types of roles as well. Maybe he can play in a right mid. Maybe he can play in a kind of role in midfield. He's so talented. His technical security, his technical ability to going forward, his crossing ability. He has an eye for a goal. He can shoot. He can create with his. He can interlink with his winger. He can go inside on the winger, so he can go in the inside channel. He can overlap. He gives you so many options, and then on top of that, he doesn't get beat defensively. That's what you want in a right back. That's what you want in a defender. You couldn't ask for more. And why he's so important is he gives them that little bit of stability that they don't have in any other area of the field right now. And he's someone that they can rely on to, okay, right back, close our eyes, we know he's there. Once these couple injury concerns, the knee injury, now he's back playing. Hopefully that's the last time we see that from him. And then he can go kick on from here and have a long career of successful playing as a right back for Chelsea. For you have a decade out of him, you know? And that's why I think he's going to be the most important player now and going forward. In terms of most promising, now, I really had a debate here. You have Enzo Fernandez, of course, record signing, still, what is he, 21, 22? There's so much potential. There's so much to this kid. And I think he could realistically become one of the best holding midfielders in the league and grab that position for years to come. I think he's going to be so essential for how Chelsea play. And I would put him as probably a close second. I would also say definitely Badiashile. There should be an argument there because Badiashile has already looked immense in the few games that he's played, and that could be a centre back that now you address centre back concern for the long period of time. Maybe you avoid, you replace the Thiago Silva. You probably do need someone next to Badiashile, someone a little bit faster, someone a little bit more technically secure. You can have that next to him, and I think that would be great, and that's what they have right now, Thiago Silva, but that's not going to last for very long. So you are going to have someone else. You're hoping that maybe Fofana, offering that pace, maybe recovery pace in behind. He didn't look the fastest when he did play for Chelsea last because maybe the lesser injuries have caught up with him and maybe that knocked down his pace a little bit. Overall, I'd still say Badiashile is a great signing and is going to have a great impact. There's definitely Noni Madueke. There's Fofana could be a solid player. They have a lot of different options in there and a lot of promising players. But I have to say, up to now, I know it's been up and down. It's hot and cold in the few games we've seen, the few minutes we've seen him play. But for me, the most promising player is still Mykhailo Mudryk. This guy is special. The ceiling is so high. The floor, I think, is low, but the ceiling is so high. And what I mean by that is there is a high chance that this guy just doesn't cut it. The physicality gets too much of him. Maybe he doesn't find that attacking output and he gets shifted on. But also at the same time, and also another thing is, if he really goes and bangs, maybe he moves on to Madrid. Maybe he moves on to Barcelona. I see that kind of ceiling for him. I see him playing at the highest level as an impact star, superstar player. Similar to the impact that Hazard ended up having, which is that low center of gravity, technically supreme, amazing ball control, great first touch, the ability to cut in from the left and create. He loves that little cut reverse pass. He's able to have the quick feet. He'll probably be able to find that impact of finding attacking output. And he did that again in the Champions League against Real Madrid, against Celtic. And he's looking like there is a real high ceiling there for him to be able to excel. He's a playmaker that can be a creative force a driving force for a team. And he has lightning pace. That's scary. And he's able to potentially have a really good strike on him as well. That's what I've been seeing. He looks very comfortable shooting with both feet. He looks comfortable at taking shots from any kind of angle. And that's something that's very dangerous when you find that in a playmaker that has pace, that has striking ability. If he can put that into finishing, and then you also have him as your primary playmaker, that's now someone that's going to be extremely dangerous and pivotal to build around for the future. Because at the end of the day, yes, midfield is the most important position and everything, and it's always going to be essential. But if you really, really want to get to the top upper echelon, you need these superstar attackers. You need these superstar creative goal-scoring machines. And if he can become that, or at least the output machine in terms of maybe it's his assists that go crazy, that's the kind of level he is. He's in that mold of a Hazard, and as hesitant I am to say, that Messi kind of role where he's able to come from wide and play make and create, and is still such a danger in 1v1 situations. And that's why I really rate Mudryk, and I think he might end up becoming an actual real force for Chelsea. And that's someone I wouldn't suddenly just give up on very quickly just because you've seen a couple of off performances here and there. And realistically, he wasn't even involved. He's still getting comfortable in a team that isn't settled, in a team that's unstable, in a manager that doesn't know his system, what's his best formation, how does he want to even put all the players out there. How does he want them to attack? How does he want them to play? There was no interlinking lineups. There's no combinations between them. Everyone seemed detached. Everyone seems to be doing their own thing still. I think his quality will end up shining through once they get the right system and manager around him. I'm not saying that it's not Potter. It could be Potter. But he needs to find that system. And he needs to find a way to make it work with him. That being said, recommended signing. Now, how do you recommend the signing for Chelsea? They signed everyone. They signed, 700 million over the last two windows? Surely they don't need more players. But funnily enough, you could still recommend some players. I still don't think they addressed the striker situation fully. But I'm not going to recommend that because they have so many attackers. I just want to see how it happens next season. Playing with 3-4 false nines and attacking creative players. How does that work? Once Nkunku's into this fold as well. I think it's going to be very interesting, and the other players that they've already signed or settled in, I think that's going to be very interesting to see what happens. So instead, the position I'm going to recommend is someone who I think they might end up moving on in the summer, in Mateo Kovacic. I've rated him so highly. He's a great midfielder, and he's been an okay servant. He's had a good time at Chelsea, and he's won everything in his career. But I think they might move on from him. Not saying that that's the best idea, but you can already see this shift where they want to move on from some of the pieces of the Champions League winning team and the Tuchel team and all of that. So going into the future, I think they might move on from him. Therefore, I'm going to recommend a signing in his position. Now, with Enzo being a slightly smaller midfielder, they will need size in there. So I definitely was thinking, okay, I need to suggest someone that's probably in the 6'1", 6'2", 6'3" range. Someone who's going to be able to be maybe a little bit more progressive, going to grab positions a little bit higher up. Someone who's going to have more attacking output and influence and is going to be given more freedom to create. Then I was also like, that's kind of hard to find as a big midfielder. I was thinking you could conceptualize maybe a Pogba, but I don't think they can do it. I don't think they'll do it. Not with the injuries, not with the attitude, not with what happened at United as well. I think it was tear them away. Sergej Milinkovic-Savic is obviously an option. He's been there for a long period of time. He's been at Lazio for a long time. He's been linked to everyone for years now. But I just don't know if that's where they're going to go because he's probably still going to demand the high price tag, which I don't know if Chelsea want to keep just doing that. It's completely possible, but I'm just going to assume that they're not, again, willing to spend another 60, 70, 80 every single time on every single position because that's just ridiculous. And I'm assuming at some point, financial fair play is going to come after them. But then again, it's all bullshit and it's all corrupt. So I then also looked at Merino, who I think has had some great performances this year. I think he's been adding a lot to Sociedad. He's been he's had good output. But I settled on Van den Boomen. He has the most progressive passes in all of Europe. He's in the 98th percentile for assists per game. He's in the 95th percentile for XAG. He's in the 97th percentile for shot creating actions at 4.97 per game. Progressive passes at 9.44, which actually ranks him the highest in all of Europe's top 5 leagues with 202, just ahead of Joshua Kimmich. He's also, if I see this correctly, in shot creating actions, he's 5th right now. 5th in top 5 leagues, and he's 3rd in goal creating actions. Those are such impressive numbers for someone who's relatively gone undiscovered No one's really talked about him over the last few years. There's been murmurs here and there. Some people say that there might be a player there. But this season, I think it's always comes down to output with some of these guys. And this year, with 5 goals and 9 assists in all competitions, now you start to see it. Now people take notice because they're like, oh, you're filling up the clear stat sheets. Now let's take a look at you. And that's where once you start to delve into some of the influence that he has on the game, it's huge. And I think his transfer market value is still very low. It's at like 7 million, but it hasn't been updated since like early November. It's definitely going to be above that. I'd assume though it still shouldn't be too expensive. I'll still assume that you might be able to prime away for 30, 40 million. And with the ability of Chelsea to offer you the wages, I don't think the player would have any problem moving. I think it's a role that they need. He offers you size. He offers you an attacking output next to Enzo, not putting all that pressure on him to create. And in terms of percentile rankings, it's just, like, looking at this is just insane. In terms of crosses, he's 99 percentile. Switches, he's 99 percentile. Dead ball passes, he's 99 percentile. Corner kicks, he's 99 percentile. All the shot creating actions, he's in the 97 percentile, in and around there. Goal creating actions, 99 percentile. He doesn't have as much defensive acumen, but that's where you're kind of relying on Enzo, as well as maybe employing a system around him where he's versatile enough that he can play in a 2, he can play in a 3, and maybe you play Mount, who will help him out there. Or, as I was suggesting, maybe if you have Malo Gusto now, you play him and you play Reece James in that kind of role. That might be an option for them. Furthermore, also, he could end up playing in a double pivot. He could drop in and cover for Enzo if Enzo wants to progress a little bit more, because you do see that tendency where Enzo does have an eye for a goal and does want to push forward and get shots off, where then you can have Van de Boom and drop in and cover for him and create from there. And he has a good range of passing as well. I definitely think that he would be a great signing for Chelsea. Also, finally, maybe a more financially suitable option. Someone who's a little bit more responsible from Todd Bowley. Someone that's showing maybe that they do have some talent ID there. Someone who's looking around at other leagues and not just signing whoever the number 1 player on FIFA Career Mode Manager is, or whatever the hell. So that would be my recommended signing for Chelsea. Van de Boomen, I think it would be a great signing. Overall, those are 3 key men for Chelsea. Reece James the most important, Mykhailo Mudryk the most promising, and the signing Van de Boomen. This has been 3 Key Men. See you on the next episode.